Bend always lands on those best places to live lists, the ones that talk about best outdoor lifestyle, all those things. And then people move here and they go, wait, you mean my restaurant budget is what? You mean it costs that much to eat out as much as I do? So I want to skip the fluff and get to some real numbers on rent, mortgage, taxes, all of it. Hey, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to the Suzanne and Sarah YouTube channel. We are licensed realtors here in Oregon, and we serve buyers, sellers, and specialize in investors or people who just want to know a little bit more about the numbers and the really big purchase that they're making in their primary residence in this state, in Central Oregon, and our community goes far beyond that. So if you're thinking about a move or want to talk residential, real estate, or investment strategies, or you just want to know what life actually looks like in Central Oregon, you're in the right place. Let's get to it. We're going to cut right to the chase with housing, our favorite and most specialized topic. We'll talk about rent first because a lot of people like to try before they buy. And of course, rent, just like home prices, varies wildly, whether you're on the east side, west side, how close you are into the river. But I will say we average, as of 2026, about $1,900 a month across all unit types. If you're looking for a studio, you might be in about the $1,600 range. One bedrooms, you're about $1,750. Two bedrooms, you're closer to $2,000 a month, and three bedrooms, you're like $2,400. So this is something to budget for, obviously, if you are just moving here. If you are looking for something like a furnished midterm rental and you don't want to unpack all your things before you go, add about 20 to 30% on top of those numbers that I just gave you. When it comes time to buy, the mortgage reality is that the median home sales price in Bend as of mid-2026 is roughly about $725,000. So with rates hovering as they have been around the 6.5% for the past several months, a 30-year mortgage is going to put you with a 20% down payment on that average price home, $725,000 home. Your down payment would look something like $150,000, $145,000. Your loan amount then is like $580,000 to $600,000. And with that 30-year amortization, that 6.5% rate, just your principal and interest, you're looking at about $36.50 a month. And then you add on, of course, property taxes and insurance. Property taxes here range between $350 and $500 a month. And then homeowners insurance, it is another thing that does vary widely depending on your location and your proximity to forest and green space. But just assuming you're in a residential neighborhood, in a regular suburban street, you're probably looking at about $150 a month for insurance. So add all that up and you're buying a home at the average median Bend sales price. If you're putting 20% down, which is that minimum to avoid that private mortgage insurance, that PMI, you're looking at anywhere between $4,150 and $4,350 as your monthly payment, depending on your credit score, of course. And that's if you don't have an HOA. So housing cost is real. I don't know how a lot of single people make it, but you're looking to probably need at least an $8,000 to $10,000 household income in order to afford housing here in Bend if you're looking to buy. Everyday costs. So for me, this means things like groceries and utilities, fuel for your vehicle, things like that. The great thing about Oregon is we do not have sales tax. This is not super common. If you're coming from a state like California, you're used to pretty high sales tax. So you're saving there, but groceries here, because we are in the middle of the state, we are in the middle of a desert, things have to travel to get here. They do run about 2% above the national average, or compared to Portland, the biggest city nearby, which is about a 3-hour drive. Utilities. For a standard 2,000 square foot home, you're going to want to budget about $100 to $250 a month for things like electric, water, garbage, and gas. Of course, we have very hot summers. If you have a lawn, water bills can get really expensive in the summer if you're watering, so that can push up into $100 alone. And then the electric costs will vary widely depending on what kind of heat source you have, whether you have a heat pump or a forced gas heating system, or whether you have a little bit older home and maybe have some of those electric baseboard or cadet heaters in your home. Electric for heat will run you pretty high in the winter if that is your primary heat source. Fuel. So Oregon gas taxes do run higher than a lot of other states, and we do have a bit of a premium here in Bend. Again, just because of our somewhat remote location, but there's a few great places to always get a deal. And I don't know what it is about these gas stations, but they are the ones that I seek out. So there's one, it's called Arco, and it's on Southeast 3rd Street. So definitely seek that one out. It always has the cheapest gas prices for regular gas stations. I live on the north side of town, so I'm usually hitting up the 76 on Highway 97. But I know people who religiously don't care and will wait in line at the Costco, which is on the north side of town, or if you live towards the south side of town, the Fred Meyer down there as well. Those can be good options for fuel if you're looking for the best costs for fuel. And then, of course, internet service here. There's the three primary providers are TDS, CenturyLink, and Starlink is becoming more and more common as well, especially because we have a lot of digital nomads, people that like to travel, and that's something you can travel with. So budget an extra $80 to $120 a month for your internet service. Childcare in schools. I wasn't one of those crazy people myself who got my kid on a waiting list the day they were born, but it all just worked out for me well. I somehow got away with paying $700 a month for full-time preschool childcare. That included meals, but apparently that's unheard of, and it was a great school. But the averages that we're seeing for something like that, like full-time preschool age, you're looking at about $1,000 to $1,200 a month. Infant care is going to be a little bit more than that. You're looking at about $1,400 a month. And yeah, the citywide average, if you're looking at statistics, does range pretty wildly from about $950 to $1,500 a month for that lower age childcare. I would definitely expect a spread, again, depending on where you're looking, what side of town. And I hear that wait lists are common and it's a thing. So at least give yourself, I would say, 8-12 months at the least to start making those phone calls for that lower level age. Then when they graduate preschool and they're ready to jump into elementary school, we have a great public school system, and the latest statistics that came out give Bend Public Schools over an 85% graduation rate. And I would say just there really isn't a bad school here in Bend, but there are definitely different demographics in different parts of town. So it just depends on who your community is and who you're integrating with and who you resonate with the most. And then also different schools have different focuses. So we've got a couple bilingual schools, we've got an international school, we've got a math-focused magnet school, and these are all public options, but some of them are charter schools, so they are funded a little bit less. They have a little bit less public school funding, so if you're jumping into those or interested in those, be prepared to make some small donations to help support the school. If public school isn't the right fit for you, there are definitely a few private options here. I think there's about 8 schools total last time I checked. One of them is a Catholic school, one of them is a Waldorf school, one is a Christian school. And then for high school, we've got Cascades Academy, New Leaf Academy, Oregon Challenge High School. Those are a few that I know of. And again, it's another place where there's a wild range. In elementary school, you're looking at about $14,000 a year. High school, I've seen it range from $3,000 to $13,000, really depending on the school. So there are private options. I don't personally have experience with those here in Central Oregon. The public school options, at least seeking out the ones that work for us, have been a good fit. So I've been able to save a little bit of money in that department for sure. Now, this one we call the lifestyle tax. So this is that thing where you get to Bend and then all of a sudden you have all of these new hobbies and all of these things to do. And so if we're saying that groceries in Bend are only 2% more, you might be asking yourself, where does that Bend premium really show up? Like, why do people complain about how expensive it is to live here? I'm telling you, it's the hobbies, it's the activities, it's the things like your sports gear, it is your Mount Bachelor passes, and yeah, just like how many hobbies do you have, right? Think about mountain biking. Mountain bikes range on the very low end, anywhere from $600 to you can probably buy a $20,000 mountain bike, even though I haven't seen one myself. And so, yeah, skiing, Mount Bachelor passes, you're looking at $1,200, $1,300 for a seasonal pass. And if you're just going for the day, you're still even looking at $100, $140 a pop, depending on the day a week. Yeah, that's just for passes. And so that's reality here. It's great. Obviously, once you have the gear, hopefully you're motivated to use it. Hopefully it contributes to your health and your well-being. And that's why a lot of people live here anyways. But it's just something to know and be okay with as part of the lifestyle here. Dining out, which is one of my favorite ways to spend money, isn't cheap either. Tourism is a main big component of the Bend economy, and I think restaurants know that they can charge for that. Also, labor in the service industry is still slim, and people need to be able to afford to live here. So I think that's part of it as well, is just attempting to pay closer to a living wage. So when you eat out, expect just a simple one person without alcohol, like $22 just at food trucks is about the average. But obviously, if you're going out to a nicer sit down place, you're obviously pushing $35 to $65 a person just for the food portion. So you're racking up easily an extra $150 to $300 just in living here expenses every weekend. So just make sure that if that is the lifestyle you're after, that you aren't digging yourself a hole that you can't get out of. Taxes in Oregon, I already mentioned there's no sales tax, and that's fantastic. I've been fortunate enough to live in a couple states like that. I would have a really hard time getting used to that again. But groceries, furniture, cars, all that, you can buy all those things and they're tax-free. So be sure to do that here in Oregon. Income tax runs graduated in Oregon. It's definitely one of the higher state income tax structures nationally. So you're looking at just below 5%, 4.75%, all the way up to 9.9%, depending on your tax bracket, your income. And then property taxes, Deschutes County's effective rate runs roughly 0.6 to 0.8% of your assessed value. Your assessed value is a super easy thing to look up when you start to go home shopping. Just give us a ring and we can send you that website or show you how to look that up, what current and assessed taxes are. Great thing is taxes here in Oregon are limited to how much they can go up every single year, and they do not change just because of a sale and a new sale price being recorded with the county. That's a really great thing. Listen, we've got all the links below. We're easy to find. We're passionate about where we live, and we really want you to enjoy it too. So when you come to visit Central Oregon and you decide you don't want to leave and you want to buy a home here, I hope this video helps you feel a little bit more confident about making that decision. And maybe you want to reach out to us and we can help you with that home search. Again, I'm Sarah Willis. This is the Suzanne and Sarah YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. That helps us find more great people like you. And we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.